The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Three-Body Problem are two very different books. They are both science fiction books and they both deal with aliens, but generally that's where the comparison stops. But as I was reading The Three-Body Problem, I couldn't help but think about the demise of human civilization. And I felt that the ending of humanity in both books had an unjust poetic symmetry. Let me show you what I mean. The Three-Body Problem is a very heavy, hard science, dark book, and there's a lot of context to it, but to keep things very simple, the book is about the Trisolarians. This is an alien race that lives on a planet that has three suns. They're in a three-body system. And because of this three-body system, it's not possible for them to predict the orbit of the three suns. And because of the orbits, their planet experiences extremely unstable weather. They have extreme heat and extreme cold, and it's unpredictable. And during those periods of time, it's nearly impossible to sustain life. And so their planet is ultimately unhospitable. And they know that because of the orbits, eventually their planet will come to an end. And so when they learn about Earth's existence, they naturally want to come there. Meanwhile, on Earth, some humans discover the existence of the Trisolarians, and they want to welcome them. So they form the Earth Trisolaris Organization, the ETO, and the humans, with the help of the Trisolarians, create a video game called the Three-Body Problem. And they use this game to recruit new members into the ETO. So then the question becomes, why would humans do this? Why would the humans want to welcome the Trisolarians, even though they really know nothing about them? And this takes me to the most interesting conversation, or what I think is the most interesting conversation in the book. It happens in chapter 18, where the ETO has a meeting for the recent players of the game to see if they're good candidates to be part of the ETO. So they want to see if they would be welcoming to the Trisolarians. And during this meeting, one of the players, an old philosopher, raises the question, what do you think of the Aztecs?
What is your impression of the Aztecs? Dark and bloody, the author said. Blood-drenched pyramids lit by insidious fires seen through dark forests. Those are my impressions. Then try to imagine, if the Spanish conquistadors did not intervene, what would have been the influence of that civilization on human history? No matter what the Trisolarians are like, their arrival will be good news for the terminally ill human race.
A very, very interesting argument. One that I can't help but disagree with, but I imagine perhaps some people agree with this sentiment. And so the ETO consists of many people who have been disillusioned by humanity, who found humanity to be destructive, and who believe that whatever comes here would be better than the humans. The Trisolarians are not the ones who are presenting this argument. They do not believe that they have a moral superiority to humans. But in a later chapter that focuses on the Trisolarian civilization, they do believe that the humans are a warlike race. And so they understand that they cannot exist with humanity because humans would just destroy the Trisolarians. So what I found so interesting about this book is that it kind of makes the Trisolarians human-like in nature. The fact that they're doing the exact same thing that humans have done for millennia. Humans have conquered each other over and over again all throughout history. And quite often, it wasn't because they found themselves to be morally superior. Ultimately, it was a justification that was done after the fact in order to feel better about the situation. But it was the understanding that there was a lack of resources. And it was that drive for resources and a complete disregard of life that allowed humanity to try to conquer each other. And so here we have the Trisolarians who, due to lack of resources and a need for survival, are coming to do the exact same thing that humans have always done. And so it's interesting to see how on a cosmic scale, karma plays out for humanity. Then we have The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a very funny and satirical book. And the book begins with Arthur Dent, the protagonist. And Arthur Dent is about to have his house demolished, so he lies down in front of a yellow bulldozer to prevent demolition. The day before, he discovered that his house was scheduled for demolition because they're going to build a bypass. Mr. Process, a man who works for the local government, tells Arthur that, listen, man, there's no reason to be up in a huff about this because the plans for the demolition have been on file at the local planning office for the past 9 months. So if you wanted to file a formal complaint, you could have done so. In addition, Mr. Prosser says that, well, a bypass is a bypass and a bypass must be built, so you have to get out of the way. Arthur says that this is unfair, that he found out about this only one day ago, and the same day that he found out, he went to the local planning office and he found that these plans for demolition were located in the basement that was completely unlit because all the lights have gone out, and they were at the bottom of a locked cabinet in a disused lavatory. That same day, as karma plays out, yellow spaceships appear in the sky, and the Vogons, an alien race, announces to Earth that they're going to be demolishing the planet because they're building a hyperspace bypass through the galaxy, through their star system, and Earth is one of the planets that's scheduled for demolition. All the humans are naturally starting to panic and they're terrified. And this is where the Vogons say, there's no reason for you guys to be up in a huff about this because the plans for demolition have been on file at the local office, so to speak, for the past 50 human years. So if they wanted to file a formal complaint, they could have done so. And so then unceremoniously, the entire planet is demolished to build this intergalactic highway. So the situation in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is very funny. And of course, we do see all of humanity destroyed, essentially, except for the humans that leave Earth. But at the same time, we get to see how bureaucracy works on a cosmic scale. So within a few chapters, Douglas Adams, the author of the book, draws a parallel between small-scale government indifference and large-scale cosmic apathy. And ultimately, it also again draws a parallel with how the aliens treat humans and showing that humans treat each other the exact same way. Now, the difference between the three-body problem and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is in fact very stark, but what I couldn't help but think about is how first we create aliens in our own image. All we can conceive of when it comes to intelligent life is us, in essence. And humans fight for resources, and humans fight for survival, and humans on a large scale, governments, empires, have a complete disregard for human life. And when it comes to small-scale governments or governments in general, it's the interest in the whole as opposed to the individual. And ultimately, we tend to disregard individuals when it comes to government efficiency. At the same time, when it comes to conquest, there is a complete disregard for human life. And what it comes down to is survival and resources and justification for why someone should be eradicated. There's a focus on progress, so to speak, or an increased morality, but it's a faulty premise. Ultimately, when reading these two books, what I found was so interesting is that there's a cosmic karma to the ending of humanity. In The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, we see how government indifference completely disregards individual lives and doesn't focus on the well-being of humans, but rather on efficiency and progress. In the three-body problem, the focus is on resources and survival and the justifications that are created for destruction, how to destroy human lives and make it easier to do so, and a complete disregard for humanity as a whole, not to seeing it as one, but seeing it as an inconvenience. And when it comes to conceiving of intelligent life on other planets, it's so interesting how we almost create aliens in our own image. We can only imagine other intelligent life as hostile, as ones who would be inclined to do the same things that humans have always done.